So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the compare and contrast essay. And then we're going to talk about how I want it to be put together. And it's going to have to deal with the different graphic organizers that I have made up for each of you. Now, to start with, I have to go backwards with this because this essay is obviously already written. And I had to actually take and go backwards with writing this essay. Well, not writing, but with coming up with the brainstorming because the essay was already written. You guys are going to brainstorm in order to move forward with your essay, okay? So, real quick, follow along as I read this and listen and pay attention there, and we'll talk a little bit about the compare and contrast essay. The compare and contrast essay. Overview. Compare means obviously to look at the similarities. Contrast means to focus on their differences. Writers often compare and contrast objects, settings, events, and characters. They do this to add detail, present information, or foreshadow events. Sometimes authors identify specific categories against which they compare and contrast these objects, settings, events, and characters. Now, the model essay that I had to work off of when I was making my poster today for the graphic organizer using it is this one right here. And it talks about Taylor Jenkins and Samantha Thompson have been best friends for 5 years, since kindergarten. They have a great deal in common. Both girls are 10 years old and have 2 younger brothers. When they are together, they like to shop at the mall and listen to music. Just last month, Taylor and Sam decided to get their ears pierced. Afterwards, they walked around the mall showing off their new jewelry. Although they spend a lot of time together, Taylor and Samantha do not have the same personalities or enjoy all the same activities. Taylor, for example, never sits still. Her long brown hair, which is usually tied in a ponytail, is always in motion. She is on 2 soccer teams, a town team and a traveling team. She usually plays forward, and she likes that position, especially when she scores a goal or 2. Taylor likes to win, but losing doesn't bother her. She always has a smile, win or lose. Maybe that's why everyone likes to be around her. Sam, on the other hand, is not nearly as outgoing as Taylor. In fact, she tends to be shy around people she doesn't know very well. She tries to avoid competitive team sports. When Taylor and Sam aren't together, you can probably find Sam and her nose in a good book. She is happy to spend hours devouring the latest Harry Potter or catching up on one of Catherine Patterson's novels. Taylor and Sam would agree that best friends don't have to be matching bookends, but they have to like spending time together doing what they both enjoy. If you noticed on this essay, it's really a body type essay, okay? Those are 3 body paragraphs because there's not a real good thesis statement in it. So when you're doing yours, you're constructing a how many paragraph essay? We've talked about this before? 5 paragraphs with how many sentences? 5. At least, okay? Except for our introduction, which we may have like 5 in there. But taking this essay, I wanted to make sure that you guys could understand how to create a brainstormed sheet. So I took this essay and I worked backwards, okay? So I have a graphic organizer here that some of you are going to get in a couple of minutes, and I put it on this chart. And I let you know the similarities and the differences. Then I created some categories, because when you're doing a compare and contrast essay, you need to make sure that you have some categories, and then you need to tell if they would be the same for both objects or topics in your paper, or if they're going to be different, because you are comparing and contrasting. So in this one, we know that the categories that we could find easily in this essay were age, siblings, personalities, and interest. And when I came over here, topic A is Taylor, topic B is Samantha, okay? And when I look at the age, I put the same. Why did I put the same?
Because it says both 10.
They're both 10 years old. And when it came to siblings, I put the same. Why did I put the same? 2 younger brothers. When I put personalities, I put different. Why did I do that?
Because one likes outgoing, one doesn't like to be like competitive, really.
Okay, and then on interests, I put same and different. Why do you suppose I put same and different there?
Because
Krista.
they like to hang out with each other and do stuff together, but they have different hobbies.
Okay, and that's what I did, because you took, now what you guys just did was took some of the details that I asked you the questions, and that was written right here in the center part of the graphic organizer. Does that make sense? Okay, so today what you're going to do is create a poster. Use the graphic organizer that I give to you. I have this one, and this one, and this one. This one is very quick and easy to look at. This one right here gets a little more complicated, wants you to look at some of the transition words that you would use in compare and contrast essays, and make sure that you're using the proper types of transition words. And you remember this paper that I gave you yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, inside this that I gave you, there is the transition words for compare and contrast essays. You want to make sure you use the right types of transition words when you're writing them, okay? So you would add that on there so that you'll get even more of an idea of what you're going to write. And then on this last one, it even gets a little bit more complicated because it doesn't give you as much, yet it gives you a lot, okay? So, that being said, that's what you're going to work on today, and I'm going to hand specific ones to specific people. Then I will come around and have you take some paper. I will ask you what color you want. So what questions may I answer right now?
I didn't get one of those essay papers yesterday. I wasn't here.
Okay, good question. Danny?
Are we writing an essay or?
Yes, remember, but not right
Based
now.
off
You're
of this
doing the
story?
brainstorming. Remember we talked about with
Telltale Heart?
Thank you. Telltale Heart and Cask of Amontillado, we talked about the fact that we were going to compare and contrast those two. Okay? Isaiah?
Is each group given something different so you can assess how we work together?
Pretty much so.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that why Isaiah and Emilio are in the same group?
Okay?
I didn't get one of those papers either.
You were absent yesterday as well? Okay, anybody else? Other questions? Okay, all right. There you go. What types of questions can you ask, or what types of categories can you have in order to write your compare and contrast essay between Telltale Heart and Cask of Amontillado? Amanda?
How the story ends.
How the story ends. What else? What's another category? Danny.
Like the main conflict?
The conflicts between the two. Okay, what else can you talk about?
The resolution.
The resolution.
How to kill the person.
How to kill the person.
Characters.
The characters. You can compare the characters.
Like the themes of the story or the descriptive words.
The themes, the word choice. Okay, what else? Something really, really basic.
How like the main character tricks people into.
Oh, how the main character tricked him into the death.
The point of view?
The point of view. What a point of view is this written in?
First person.
First person what?
Uh,
Is it a reliable narrator or
Oh.
an unreliable?
Unreliable narrator.
And is it in both cases?
Yes.
Okay, so you could take and do unreliable, you could talk about that. What about the setting? Could you talk about the setting as a category? Sorry if that was one yours.
Well, you could also do genre.
The genre as well, okay?
The theme?
Okay, all right, I think that was mentioned, but good. Those are the kinds of things that I want you to look at in your categories when you're doing this, and then, of course, the support from the story. And if you need a literature book, over there for Telltale Heart, and I gave you the Cask of Amontillado.
I spelled everything right? I'm gonna lose it.